Hello, I'm the Code Guy and you're watching my beginner's guide to Python. In this one we are going to talk about variables, and without them we wouldn't get very far in programming. What exactly is a variable? Fundamentally, a variable just allows us to store, retrieve and manipulate small pieces of information in the computer's memory. You can basically think of them as little labelled boxes. So I'm in PyCharm and I've created a new file called variables. And in Python, really all we're doing when we're creating a variable is giving a value a name. So some value equals 5, for instance. And then we can print some value. And we get 5. Now, variables in Python are dynamically typed. That means that they can be any of the types inside the language and they can switch. They're not fixed. In some languages, we have to declare variables up front and give them a type, such as something like this: int some value equals 5. And if we did that and then tried to change that to something else, it wouldn't work. It can only ever be a number. But in Python, we can change that all we like. So I can say some value equals 5.6. That may not look all so different, but we've actually changed the data type of some value. So if we just grab this, copy it down here and run the program again, you can see it's 5.6. But if we actually use a special keyword called type, it'll actually tell us what type of variable that is. So if we do type some value, and this is a function, and whenever we're calling functions like print, it's always open parentheses and then put the value in between. So in this one, we're printing the type of some value. And we're going to do the same up here. So let's just copy that line over the top. Put a blank line so PyCharm stops whinging at me. And hit play. So you can see up here, the type at that point was an int. And an int is just a whole number. A float has a decimal component, so 0.6. So they are two different data types. If we create a new variable called greeting message, we can set it to hello and we can print that. And then we're going to do the same, print type greeting message. Hit play and we got hello, and it's a type string. And a string is when we're dealing with words. Now there's one more base type in Python that we haven't touched on yet, and that is a bool or a boolean, which basically is something that is true or false. If we create a new variable called it is, and we can do true, and then we can do exactly what we did up here. Just change these variables. And run it. And we get true bool. Now the other acceptable value for this is false. Now notice that true and false started with a capital letter. This is important because Python is case sensitive. So if you run that again quickly, we get false. Now when you're playing around and experimenting, you can actually do this in the interpreter and it's a lot easier. So if I spin up a command prompt and just hit Python, then in here we can do some value equals 6. And rather than having to print or anything, we can just ask it what some value is. And it'll give us the answer. And we can do type some value, and it tells us it's an int. And the Python interpreter really is good for experimenting with little bits of code. I use it all the time. But we are going to stick with PyCharm for now. Okay, so variable names. Variable names can be anything starting with a letter. So it's perfectly valid from the computer's point of view to say a equals 5. And as I mentioned, it's case sensitive. So actually, A and A is not the same. So if we now ask the computer to print capital A instead of lowercase a and run it, we get our first error. So it's telling us in this file on line 19, as you can see here, we've got a name error. Name A is not defined. And for variables, you must give them a name before you can use it. Anything else will be an error. So if we change this to A now, it will run successfully. Now variables can also point to other variables. So if we did keep A here, and we could just do A equals A. And that will bridge the gap. And we can see it's now 5. So let's clear that out. So we've gone through the 4 different types. We have int, float, string, and Boolean. The key thing about strings is they are always in either single quotes or double quotes. Retype our greeting message. We can't just do hello. This will fail because it won't know what hello is. It's treating it as a variable. Yeah, name error, hello. If we wrap it in single quotes or double quotes, it will work. I tend to always use single quotes, but we can also do double quotes as well. Now, some of you may be wondering what you do with an apostrophe. If we just create a new variable called guys video, you'll notice that this is now highlighting weird. And that's because we're terminating the string here. If we try and run this, it'll fail. Yeah, syntax error. It doesn't know what we're asking it to do. Now, the way we can get around that is to switch the outer blocks to double quotes. And then the inner blocks will just work. So the way we can handle this, if we want to stick with our single quotes, is to put a backslash before it. And you'll see it's now turned orange. And we'll explain what that's doing when you see it. Okay. So what that's doing is it's telling the string to escape that character and make it the actual character and not treat it as a programmatic thing. It's all very well and good setting these variables, but sometimes we want to know what the end user wants to do. We can use a keyword called input. Input is like the opposite to print. It takes something in from the keyboard instead of printing something out. So the way we do that, user's name equals input. And in the brackets, we can specify a prompt. What is your name? And we're going to put an extra space at the end so it doesn't look cramped when we type the response. And then what we can do is print hello space, and then we can just put a plus. And you can think of this as adding two strings together, user's name. And that should, when we run this program, it's asking us what our name is. Type it in and hit enter, and the computer will say hello guy. We can also make a really basic calculator. So if we create two variables, num1 and num2, and we're just going to key in, enter another number, and enter a number. This isn't really a question, so we'll just put a colon and a space. This is actually going to error when we run it, and I'll explain why in a bit, but we can just do num1 equals num2. So why do we think this is going to fail? Let's run it first and just prove it fails. So in this one, we're going to do 5, and in this one, we're going to do 6. That gives us 56. That's not what we wanted, and that's because input always creates a string. It doesn't know what the user's trying to type. So what we need to do to add those up properly, instead of concatenating 5 and 6, is we need to convert those to numbers before we use them. And if you remember when we ran the type function before, an integer shows us int. So we can actually wrap this in an int num1 and int num2, and that will convert them to numbers before it uses them. So if we do that again with 5 and 6, we get 11. So we can change the value of something to something else. Now, bear in mind, you can't just type in any old crap, because the computer will never be able to convert that to a number. So if we do that and 1, we'll get an error. Value error. Invalid literal for int with base 10. Basically couldn't create an integer from it. What you may think you would be able to do but can't is you can't do hello and then attach number 1 to the end of it as an int, because Python won't allow you to mix data types in a statement. So if we get rid of this, and this little hash symbol just basically tells the computer that this is a line of comments, it's not something to run. So it'll skip past anything with a hash at the beginning. So if we run this now, we expect this to fail. And the key here is just to get rid of the int, and then it'll class it as a string, and then we can pass in a 6 and hello 6. Now I forgot to put my space there. Otherwise it'd have printed properly. So we've mentioned the 4 basic types, and there are more types than this, but they get a lot more complicated, and we'll talk about those in future videos. It's things like lists, dictionaries, and tuples, which allow you to store like multiple values in one variable. So naming of variables, there are some rules. First off, a variable must start with a letter. So if we do 1 num You can see already that it's warning us that something's wrong by highlighting it. And we can just say 5. That will fail. Invalid decimal literal. It doesn't know what we're asking it to do. So it must always start with a letter. And it can't contain special characters except for the underscore. So that would also not be valid. The asterisk is multiplication, which is why you can't use things like that in variables. So if we do num equals 5 and then do num1 star num, it will multiply those numbers together. And actually, we can actually save our inputs and just cast them to ints straight out the gate by just wrapping that whole function in int. So whatever comes out of this function will then get passed to the int function and come out. So 5, we didn't print it. And 25, so that's multiplied. You can also do division, which is just a slash. Give us 1. And you can see with division, we got back a float, not an integer, because there can be a component that isn't a whole number. In this case, it was a whole number, but it could be different. So if we do actually 5 divided by 2, oh, actually 2 divided by 5 there. So if we do 10 divided by 5, we get 2, but you see the point. Now, instead of printing this out, we normally just want to do this in memory. So we can do division result, and then we can actually use that later. Now, the other thing we can't do is create a variable with a keyword. So that's the reserved word in Python. So if we do if equals 5, that's going to tell us no way. And we get a syntax error. We also can't do and, because and's a keyword. And we'll know in PyCharm that it's wrong because all the keywords are orange. If the word is orange, we can't use it. Now, that could cause us an issue, though, because we could still use the word print, which isn't actually classed as a language keyword. And we could say print equals 5. And this is going to cause us an issue. If I now do print num plus print, this is not going to do what we expect. So if we run that, we get a type error. Int object is not callable. So what we've actually just done there is overwritten the print function. So you don't want to use any kind of internal function names either. So just be careful with that. As I mentioned, variable names must start with a alpha character. They can contain an underscore and they can contain numbers as long as it's not the first thing. And they can't be a keyword, and we shouldn't use them over functions. But are there any other rules around them? And from the computer's perspective, no. But from a programmer's perspective, we tend to do things slightly differently. The first thing is a variable should have a detailed name so you know what it is. So we might want to create a variable called student name. And the reason we'd call it student name is because it could just be anyone's name. We don't know in the code if we're going to use another name later, so let's call it out what it is. You should notice a pattern with my variables so far, and that is they have an underscore separating the words. Why do I do that? That's because there are sort of 3 ways you could do a variable. You could do student name, perfectly valid. And we could also do student name. So here we've created 3 different variables. Now these have names. This is known as snake case. Don't ask me why. This is known as camel case, where the first letter of each word in the string, apart from the first, is a capital. And then there's Pascal case, which is every first letter is a capital. Now, this is much easier to read for me, so I always use this convention, and I think it's the PEP 8 standard as well. PEP 8 is like a standard set in Python. So time for a quick quiz. I've just created a load of variables here, and what I want you to do is go through each of the variables and just work out what type that variable is. Now, pause the video now, and then in a couple of seconds, we'll give you the answer. Okay, the answer to the questions. The first one is a string. And yes, that may be confusing, but remember, a string is anything in quotes. And so 5 in quotes is a string. The second one is an integer. The third one is a string. The fourth one is a float. And the last one is a Boolean. The one last thing I want to show you, going back to the whole storing things in memory analogy, is there is another function in Python that will tell us the memory ID of a variable. So I can say sumInt. Let's just wrap that in a print. And you can see we've got this long number. And each of these variables will have a different ID. So you can see different memory locations are storing those variables. It's also perfectly valid to create a reference to an existing variable. So I can say another one equals some int. And what we're going to find here is that actually another one will have the same memory ID. And that'll tell us that those variables aren't storing just the same number in two different memory locations. They're pointing at the same memory location. Now that could be a problem, you may think, because if we add something to that number, does it change both? So if we do another one equals another one plus one, and then print the ID of another one, we actually get a new memory location. And if we actually print the original value, you'll see that another one has now changed to a different value, and it's actually kept the original intact. Now that's not always the case in Python, but you can assume it is for any of these base types. What we've talked about today is really just scratching the surface of variables. There are more types that are more complicated, and how Python does this under the hood is a whole different story, because it's not like many other languages. But we'll get to that in future videos. Speaking of which, in the next one we are going to talk about program flow and how to repeat pieces of code without typing them multiple times. And in order to teach you this, we're going to write a really simple text-based game. And if you want to watch that video, it'll be up top left right now. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.